Radovan Karadzic showed no emotion as he was convicted of war crimes, including 1 count of genocide. The judge described how Karadzic was criminally responsible for the siege of Sarajevo, where civilians were regularly shot at by snipers, and how he was culpable for genocide in Srebrenica, where thousands of Muslim men and boys were rounded up and massacred by Bosnian Serb forces.
The chamber finds that the accused had reason to know that crimes had been committed by his subordinates in the aftermath of the fall of the Srebrenica enclave, and that he failed in his duty as Supreme Commander to take necessary and reasonable measures to punish the commission of genocide, murder, extermination, and killings as an underlying act of persecution.
Many of the victims' families had travelled to The Hague from Bosnia to hear the verdict. The horrors of a war which ended more than 20 years ago still etched on the faces of those who'd survived it.
Every time I see this picture, it's not easy for me, because the picture reminds me of the crime made by the people led by Karadzic, who killed what they could kill in us at that moment.
Radovan Karadzic, president of the Bosnian Serbs in the early 90s, was also commander of its forces. After the war ended, Karadzic disappeared. NATO forces looked for him all over Bosnia, but he was in neighbouring Serbia, not hiding in secret, but disguised as a mystic healer. After being brought to The Hague, he appeared defiant in a high-profile trial lasting more than 7 years. Bosnia's current Serb leader called the trial a humiliation and said Karadzic was subject to selective justice. But for some, the 40-year sentence falls short. There is a sense of frustration here that Radovan Karadzic was only convicted of 10 of the 11 counts against him. There's also anger at the length of his sentence, with some people saying it's too short.
Outside
the court, Karadzic's legal advisor was confronted by relatives of the victims.
Dr. Karadzic was disappointed and he was astonished by the verdict, and he has asked us to appeal.
Karadzic's conviction closes 1 chapter in the darkest period of Bosnia's history. But in a society still divided on ethnic lines, reconciliation is still a distant hope. Emma Hayward, Al Jazeera in The Hague.